It is a pleasure to be here again. In June of 22, we actually gathered in this room to unveil and celebrate the 55th anniversary of the 1967 Ali/Cleveland Summit. We made a promise then, in partnership with the Marcus Graham Project, that we would build a sculpture to properly reflect the historic moment that happened in 1967. We're here tonight for two unveilings. One is the unveiling outside of the sculpture. Second, it is an unveiling of the history that Cleveland has in this country from a sports standpoint, where blacks have broken barriers over and over and over again. So let me just give you a little bit of history around that right now. So some of you know the fact from the Cleveland Guardians, the fact that we had the great Larry Doby, the first African-American player in the American League, happened just a few weeks after Jackie Robinson. Frank Robinson, the first black manager in MLB. From a basketball standpoint, Wayne Embry was the Cavaliers' general manager, then was promoted to president. He was the first black president in the NBA. When we think about football and the Browns, we have Marion Motley, and we also have Bill Willis, who came after Fritz Pollard. And it came at a time several years later when Fritz Pollard was the first, but the owners at that time said, no more. No more, we're good. The next to break the color barrier, Bill Willis and Marion Motley. But that's not all. Some of you have heard of Jesse Owens, the first track star, first Olympian to win 4 gold medals, black, white, or any other color, but he was black, he was from Cleveland, and he did it in front of Hitler. I mean, I'm just saying, that's probably a little pressure. Then there's 2 more. We have an amazing sister that came from Cleveland. Her name is Blake Bolden. You all may not know this. Blake is in her late 30s. She was the first African-American female to play professional hockey. Take a guess where she's from. Cleveland. Then from the civic standpoint, if we think about the first black mayor in U.S. history of a major city, the Honorable Carl B. Stokes from Cleveland. So here's the thing, we don't have to make up history here in Cleveland. We are history. So we're going to unveil this sculpture, and we're also going to unveil history as we move forward. You'll hear more about that. So I now would like to introduce my counterpart at ACS, Lenora Aders, please.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to ACS. We are so thrilled and honored to be here and to have a seat at this table tonight, celebrating this historical land and one of the most impactful civil rights acts in sports history, when a group of influential athletes came together to use their voice and influence to stand for change. That's what we hope to do every single day at the American Cancer Society, working hand in hand with our volunteers, our community partners, and so many amazing organizations, many of which are in the room tonight, to make an impact and to end cancer as we know it for everyone. While we've made great progress in the fight, we also recognize that not all groups have benefited in the same way in advances in cancer prevention, early detection, treatment, and survivorship. We know that for most cancer types, Black people have the highest death rate and shortest survival rate of any racial or ethnic group. This October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so when we think about that, we think about all of the Black women that have been diagnosed with breast cancer. They have a 41% higher breast cancer mortality rate than white women, even though the breast cancer incidence is significantly lower. And recognizing that it's Hispanic Heritage Month, we think about the fact that Hispanic and Latina women have a 32% higher diagnosis rate of cervical cancer than non-Hispanic women. This is not acceptable for any of us at the American Cancer Society. And that's why our work is centered around ensuring everyone has an equitable opportunity to live a healthy life, to prevent cancer, find it early, and receive quality treatment and support when they need it the most. Your American Cancer Society does that through research around reducing health disparities, through our public policy work around Medicaid expansion, and our patient support work like our Health Equity Ambassador program. We are stepping up to make a difference. We are committed today and into the future in partnership with all of you in the room to address the unequal burden of cancer in diverse communities, and we won't stop until we end cancer as we know it for everyone. So thank you all for being here tonight, for the historic work that's been done and the great work we're going to do in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Lenore. Yeah, so I realized I didn't properly introduce myself. My name's Kevin Clayton. I have I just want to get into it. I have the honor and privilege to actually represent the Cleveland Cavaliers, leading our social impact and equity team. And on behalf of our chairman, Dan Gilbert, and our executives that are in the room, we welcome you to this historic journey. So from a history standpoint, we have a very quick video we want to show you, and it's amazing because it actually talks about this room. It talks about this building. So if we could.
The 1960s was a time of significant change. The civil rights movement, the press for equality, also racial turmoil in cities, Cleveland among them, and a widening, highly controversial war in Vietnam. The decade was a turning point in the United States. The years also saw Cleveland Browns running back Jim Brown set National Football League records. In 1964, Jim Brown led the Clevelanders to an NFL championship, retiring a year later to make Hollywood movies. But in 1967, Brown returned to Cleveland's changing Black political landscape to convene a meeting of prominent Black sports figures. In this atmosphere, the athletes meeting in Cleveland were in the city to question Ali, who cited his conscientious objector stance on the draft based on his religion. A month before, Ali had become a member of the Nation of Islam. The athletes at the summit wanted only answers from Ali. Several there had military backgrounds themselves, including then state representative and soon-to-be mayor Carl Stokes. Ali spoke on his religion and Black pride, never wavering from his conscientious objector stance. It was the Ali Summit, eventually called the Cleveland Summit. The office where they met was at East 105th Street and Euclid Avenue in Cleveland's University Circle. The building is gone now, but the meeting was historic in every sense of the word. Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and the others marked a turning point in the civil rights movement. The issues all converged right here in Cleveland. Race, politics, sports, religion, and the war in Vietnam. 1967 marked a turning point for the nation, Cleveland, and for Black political and social power. 5 months later, Carl Stokes was elected first Black person to lead a major American city. Ali was convicted of draft evasion, but he stayed out of prison during his appeal. Years later, the Supreme Court overturned the conviction. Muhammad Ali returned to the boxing ring. In 21st century sports, athletes are using their power and their platforms for social and political statements, following footsteps of other Black sports stars decades before. That was when a group of athletes took a political stance in the Cleveland summer of 1967. For 3 News, I'm Leon Dill.
Wow, that was a good video. So without any other hesitation, there's a young man in this picture that is actually in this room who was Jim Brown's best friend and is a powerful voice in sports, and that is Mr. John Wooten. John, if you could join us, please.
tell you, one of the toughest things in the world is to follow a lady here from American Cancer and then have to deal with what Kevin is putting down up there. But I'm here to talk about the occasion. One of the things that we want to point out is the fact that Cleveland is a special place. It was a special place for us then. It's a special place now. But before I go any further, let me just, I don't know if Dean Buchanan is here or not, but I see Betty, can you Betty stand, please? I want you to just understand what we had going for us. And then I want Bob Render to stand. Let me make sure you understand this young man, and I can say that because of my age, has been appointed to put together a memorial out at Lakeview Cemetery, I guess, for Carl Stokes. People say, well, why is Carl Stokes in this picture with you guys? He was our legal counsel. We gotta have organization. If you're gonna fight this fight, you gotta have organization. And this is why I am just taking backflips at what Kevin Clayton is doing. Because he's bringing together that kind of operation and what it means to have by bringing in the sports, not only the Cavaliers, the NBA is way ahead in diversity and inclusion. So much of it came primarily because of the great Bill Russell, Dave Stern, and of course, Silver is following right in that line. But then now we're looking, and he's bringing together Miles Garrett. Is Miles here yet?
On his way.
He's on his way, okay. Well, he had to work today, you know. And I'm not gonna tell him to stop work right now, because we gotta get the Browns back on track. So, but Donovan Mitchell, Donovan, stand up for me. This is how the good Lord works. In 2017, 2018, when he should have been the Rookie of the Year, I probably was madder than he was, if, you know, that he didn't win. But they gave it to Simmons, but then all of a sudden I've always tracked him in Utah, and you know, of course it's not easy to get out to Utah, but you can follow it, you know. And then all of a sudden I see him come into Cleveland a year ago. And now here he is going to be a part of what we're putting together now. Because this thing has to have a heartbeat. It has to have people who are willing to work and sacrifice what has to be done. When Jim called in 1967 and said, Herbert Muhammad has just called me Woody. And he said that the champ didn't step forward there in Houston, and they've taken away his passport and his championship. Call the guys. Call the guys. Tell them to head toward Cleveland. The champ needs our help. Because we had an organization called the NIAEU, Negro Industrial Economic Union. And that's where Dean Buchanan plays such a big role here, retired judge and so forth. Because we had that kind of organization, we could call those guys. And each one of them, people say, well, aren't you guys concerned about the fact that you're all coming together? And hey, when you're doing what's right, are you going to be concerned about anything when you know what you're doing is right. The champ came in, and many of us had already done our obligation in the military. Told him he could get in special service, and he said, no. I am a black minister of the Nation of Islam. I'm a conscientious objector. I don't believe in killing people, nor do I want to be a part of an organization that kills people. He never wavered. And consequently, the vote came, and all of us you see standing here in this picture, which I gotta have a picture of this, okay?
We got you.
The summit itself, because it represents every single thing that we believe in. Be organized. We got to go, as Jim said, into the belly of the beast. And that's why we gotta go get our young people that live in the ghettos that feel they might not have a chance. And you gotta let them know that education and economics is what this whole thing is about. And if they have, I'm not saying you gotta go to college, but you gotta have an organization to push forward and move in this direction that we gotta move. So that's why we're here. And that's why I got dressed up. According to the sheet, they said professional dress, attire. Everybody else is in short sleeves. Here I am in a tie, but understand this. This is a great time. This is a great city. We love being in this city. And real quickly, so I don't have to sleep on the floor, I need to stand up and let them see. This is my wife. She taught for years right here in the Huff community, right there, 79th and Addison, correction, the junior high school was Addison, 79th and Huff. But the thing that we're saying to you in all seriousness, be proud of this city. Pull together, black, white, Oriental, Asians, Hispanics, doesn't matter. Pull together. Care for each other. As Jim Brown said, more than ever and ever, Boots, it's about human dignity. It's about respecting everybody. And that's what we're here about. And that's why I'm so happy to be back. And Kevin, again, and to you and the American Cancer, put this right where all of that took place. You know, I mean, 105 in Euclid, none of you are old enough to realize what it was back then as I look around the room. But we used to do a lot of things here, right there, where all of that took place. And above all, look how it turned out. A young man by the name of Lou Alcindor, people say, well, what is he doing here? Jim, Ollie, and Bill Russell loved him. They felt that he was going to be exactly what he has done in speaking out. And that's why they wanted him with us at this main occasion and so forth. A guy in the back of the room said, I got 1 minute, and I'm just going to say thank you, and give 40 seconds to someone else.
So John, over dinner last night when I called you today, I'd asked you how you thought you would feel by being back on these grounds, because you've not been here since when?
Well, here, I probably haven't been here since '67 at this exact place. And that's why coming in here today, it just filled me with every single thing. I tell people everywhere I go, I have been truly blessed. And this is one of those occasions. truly, truly blessed. Thank you.
All right. Can we honor? Well, John, I would love to be able to take your compliment by saying what I've done nothing. Why do I keep getting walk-up music? But pull together a team of people. And you're going to hear from a couple of those folks right now. You actually had mentioned around Lou Stokes. And we have representatives of the Stokes family right here in the front row. If we could, please, give you a hand. Okay. And Alex, it's you and your mom, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You want a quick introduction?
Oh, myself or my mom?
Yeah, both.
Oh, okay. You go. All right.
I mean, you're royalty in this
Oh, my
city.
God.
So.
Hi, I'm Alex Stokes, granddaughter of Louis Stokes and great niece of Carl Stokes, and this is my mom, Lori Stokes. Please, you stand. Mom.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Stokes. I was born here, but when my dad went into Congress, moved to D.C., grew up there, and newly retired from a career as a broadcaster. And mentioning, of course, Mr. Wooten, about my Uncle Carl being there as legal counsel, but my dad, Lou Stokes, was also legal counsel to Jim Brown as well. And I'm just pleased to be here. And Kevin, what you're doing is magnificent.
Yeah. Thank you for including us.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I'd be doing a disjustice if I didn't recognize Cleveland royalty. Yep. So part of the team that I reference is the NBA Social Justice Coalition, and we have folks in the room from the NBA. And speaking on behalf of the coalition, Manon Butler, if you could come take the mic, and you want Donovan and Coach to join you right now? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. One more time. After Mr. Wooten, we have to do this a little different. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I am so filled. We are a witness to history. We're a witness to the present, and we're a witness to the future. I am just so heartened by the opportunity to experience our roots. That video was poignant. Your words, Mr. Wooten, you're the living embodiment of, quite frankly, why our social justice coalition is in existence. It is crystal clear. It was clear to me before. I'm Manon Butler, the head of our policy and programming and partnership with the Social Justice Coalition. And we were established in the wake of 2020, when our NBA players understood the power of their voices and their platforms and leaned into it. But we're standing, this enterprise stands on your shoulders. So thank you. I think that deserves a round of applause. Our coalition serves as the policy advocacy arm of the NBA community. And we are thrilled to be a part of what I call the triumvirate of the NBA community. We have an arm that focuses on programs. Many of you may be familiar with NBA Cares. That's our programming arm. In the wake of 2020, there was also the NBA Foundation that was established. That's the philanthropic arm. The coalition was established to be the policy advocacy arm so that we could address systemic issues of social injustice in the country. And so our focus is really pretty clear. It is to address legislation and policy at the federal level and at the state and local levels to advance measures that will, quite frankly, reform systems that lead to injustices in this country. And so I'm pleased to stand between two of the coalition's board members, Donovan Mitchell and JB Bickerstaff. JB is a newer member of the board, and I wanted to invite them to just provide a few personal reflections on just the impact of the summit, and then also what motivated you to join forces and to lend your voice and your platform to the Social Justice Coalition. So I'll turn it over to you first, Don.
So yeah, I have a few things written down. I came prepared. But first of all, I want to say I did not know Mr. Wooten was going to be here, and I'm starstruck. If you're being honest, like, you are a legend. I appreciate you. We appreciate you, everything you've done. You know, without you, there's really we're not here. We're not standing here. You know, to be here in this room, it's just truly an honor. So I appreciate you. And I just want to give you a round of applause for that. I also want to thank, you know, the American Cancer Society, you know, the MGP Project, for working together and finding ways that we can, you know, continue to cherish this historical moment in this historical place. You know, obviously, joining the Social Coalition when I did in 2020, I was in Utah. There weren't many people that look like myself out there, so trying to find ways to, you know, to continue to preach and you know, and represent for the ones that were out there. And, you know, now being here in Cleveland, you know, being able to be a part of this, being able to speak, being able to, you know, I don't know how many there are on the NBA, but to have a black head coach, to have a black general manager, you know, that goes a long way, you know, and I think that's something that I always truly cherish and, you know, I appreciate as well. You know, it's not lost on me, you know, how incredible and how special this moment is. Obviously, you know, being in this room where this historical photo was taken and this all went down. So I think that's something that I, you know, will forever cherish. And then lastly, I just want to say this work is important to me just because, you know, this is something that I've stood on for a long time. You know, it's something that I've always wanted to put on for our people, you know, in different ways. And like Ms. Butler said, we've done it in different respects. You know, it comes in different ways. But for me, I've always continued to be a voice for my community, voice for my people. I've done that since I've gotten to the league, and we have such a platform in the NBA. And like Kevin said, the NBA has done such a great job of being able to allow us as athletes to continue to use our platform on all the occasions. So this is just another one of those moments for me. This is a special moment for myself, and I'm headed over to you guys, but I just want to say I appreciate it.
You know, I just want to again echo some of the comments, but, you know, a little overwhelmed, to be honest with you, sitting there listening to Kevin, sitting there listening to Mr. Wooten, you know, being a member of this community, you know, as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers is not lost on me. My dad spent some years here in junior high school growing up in the Cleveland area. So we have a connection to this city that goes back further than just my time here as a basketball coach. You know, he talked to us about, you know, what it was like growing up here, having people like Jim Brown, like Mr. Wooten, as role models, people to admire and want to be like. The game of sports and the value of, you know, the platform and the voice that you can have and the people that you can reach. I mean, it's second to none, and the courage to go out and do it. There's so many people who have an opportunity to impact change, but don't have the courage and aren't willing to sacrifice. You think about in 1967, the position that those men were in, that you were in, Mr. Wooten, it had to be scary times because things could be taken from you so quickly and easily and, you know, washed aside, and nobody would have said another word. But you guys had the courage to go out there and do something for something greater than yourselves. So I want to thank you again for the courage that you have and the leadership that you showed along with those other men up there to put us in the position that we're in right now. If there was no you, there would be no us. And that's not lost on us in this moment. You know, having a voice, having an opinion matters to us. Being able to share that opinion matters to us. You know, sports is one of the greatest unifying things that we have. You look around this room, but you look in our stands and in the stadiums, and there's people from all walks of life cheering and supporting and going for one common goal. So I do believe that it's our responsibility to continue to push that and use that. In a time especially where it seems like the go-to move is to divide as much as we possibly can. And we have an opportunity to bring together. And, you know, that's not lost on myself. That's not lost on Donovan, the Social Justice Coalition and the NBA. Like, that's what we're here to do, is to bring people together, give people an opportunity that otherwise they may not have, because, you know, the backbone of this country, whether they want to admit it or not, is the diversity and the greatness that's been brought together from all over the world and unified makes us a heck of a force. And I think it's upon us to go out and continue to do that, bring people together, lead one another, regardless of the consequences that may happen to us individually, because at the end of the day, it's always about the greater good. So I just want to again say thank you to the Cavaliers for having the courage of being a part of this. Thank you to the NBA, Social Justice Coalition, the American Cancer Society, Mr. Wooten, you know, all of our partners here. Donovan, I think, you know, can't go without saying this. You know, what he did in the place that he did it could have been terrifying. You know, we've been to Utah and understand, you know, what it looks like there. And it's not easy, you know, to speak out. And a lot of times having to feel like you were on an island. So I want to give you your respect and your just due for having the courage and bravery to speak out for what was most important. Thank you.
Yeah, so I figured out the thing with the music. Out music, like stop talking and get off. So we're gonna take a moment now to actually transition outside, where we're gonna have the unveiling. In June of 2022, we actually unveiled a market that we thought was really impressive. We thought it was really impressive. Yeah, then I realized it wasn't much more than a stone in the grass. So are they ready? Okay. What do you think? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? We good? Oh, what, you want me to start at 10? What are we going to do? All right. We'll start at 5, all right, collectively. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I now would like to ask Jason if you can come up and give us a little history about what this monument represents.
Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
Well, guys, I'm a little overwhelmed, but very grateful to be standing here alongside some of my collaborators, alongside all of you guys, to really celebrate this iconic moment. I'm Jason Garrett. I served on the creative team alongside James Adams, Lacey Talley, and another creative named Kayla Shine, as well as with our producing sculpture artists from Shred & Co., Scott Larson, and Carl Zeke. So thank you guys for this amazing work. Our organization, the Marcus Graham Project, is a proud nonprofit partner of the NBA as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers. We are committed to empowering minorities to get into the advertising, marketing, media, and sports industries. We've been working with the Cavs for over 10 years now and have been a part of so much amazing work. We worked on the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Award. This same team designed that trophy. And now we have the honor to unveil this statue here today. Currently, we have over 10 alumni of our program working for the Cleveland Cavaliers. We were among the first recipients of the NBA Foundation's inaugural grant, and we took that money and reinvested it right back into the ecosystem. We spent the past 2 years traveling around the NBA, working with different teams, establishing creatives, working to find the next talent, and to really give them a voice. As I said before, our team was uniquely honored to design the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trophy, and now we get to present you guys with our piece, The Seat at the Table. The Seat at the Table celebrates this historic legacy, and now all of us here in Cleveland have a public art piece that we can cherish, that we can be proud of, but more importantly, we have something that honors the legacy that John Wooten and so many others sat at the table and made so we could have this seat at the table. The table, as you see, has 12 layers on top that represent the 12 athletes, politicians, and community members that gathered that day. There's also 12 microphones that uniquely represent that. The microphone was a really important symbol for us, and we had renderings of just a huge microphone, because when you think about a microphone, it's a tool that amplifies voices, that broadcasts messages. And that's exactly what those men did that day, was take their seat, come together, and amplify for our community. As we all appreciate this marker as a living testament to courage, collaboration, and unity, let us all be inspired to take our own seats, to work towards a more just society. Let us amplify our voices and strive to make a positive change in this world. We are profoundly grateful for this opportunity and for this public work of art that will honor so many brave souls and so many people who will use their voice for better change. May we all be inspired to be brave, to be bold, to make our voices heard, and strive together to make a better society. Thank you, guys.
Wow. You know, we started off by talking about Cleveland's first for a reason, because across all of our sports teams, we have had opportunity to break barriers. One barrier that we did break was in August of 2020, right after George Floyd was murdered. All three teams came together, the Browns, the Guardians, and the Cavs, to talk about what could we do to make a difference with our platform. Kind of 1 + 1 would typically equal 3. We thought it would equal 100. So with that, we have the Cavs president who's going to join us for a moment. We also have Andrew Berry in the house to talk about the three-team alliance and also this moment. Yeah, Kobe.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. Wooten. I'll share what Donovan Mitchell just said. Like, he was more nervous to be up here in front of you than playing a basketball game. And I think we're all in awe of this moment, and just thinking back to what this means to the city and to the nation. So thank you. Also wanted to thank the NBA Social Justice Coalition for their dedication to addressing racial inequality and advancing social justice every day. Thank you to the Marcus Graham Project for designing such an inspirational sculpture. I've already taken multiple photos of it. It's something that we're all going to cherish. It's a wonderful design. The microphone piece is just tremendous, of how we amplify our voices. Truly wonderful work. Incredible job, guys. So thank you. Let's give it up for them. So this is the exact coordinates of where this 1967 Cleveland Summit took place 56 years ago. So we are reminded of the incredible impact this gathering had in paving the way for generations of athletes, fans, activists to advocate for social justice. There's still so much progress that needs to be made in society, but we're obviously striving for that every day. On behalf of the Cleveland Three-Team Alliance, we have Andrew Berry here from the Browns. Chris Antonetti couldn't be here, but he's representing the Guardians. We are excited to announce that we'll be hosting a new annual summit set to launch in June 2024 to continue this legacy of the 1967 summit, to enhance strategy around advancing social justice through sport. And I think everyone feels the same way. How do we keep this momentum going? You know, how do we build off of this wonderful monument and summit. And so each year we will host an event and hope to continue to grow this legacy. So thank you very much to everybody, and back to you, Kevin.
So without any further delay, also because at some point they're going to open up the street again, we talked about us standing on John Wooden's shoulders. John Wooden stood on somebody else's shoulders as well, and that was the great Jim Brown. And I'd like to close out the comments by having his amazing wife join us, Monique Brown.
Wow, good evening, everyone. What an honor to be here. It's very emotional for me, seeing all of this and having been a part for the last 30 years, side by side with Jim and John, and just being a fly on the wall and understanding the sacrifices and the courage and everything that went into that moment through their words. And I just first of all want to say I'm so proud to be here to represent my family, and so proud to have the organizations collaborating to make this event happen. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Kevin Clayton, I mean, we've talked, I mean, just to see everything come to fruition today is beyond a dream, and what's going to happen in the future is going to make it all the even more impactful. I want to share something. I was reflecting on the 68th Summit, and I wanted to go back, and I looked at, first of all, this picture here in this place was the office of the Black Economic Union, formerly known as the Negro Industrial and Economic Union. That was an organization whose motto was produce, achieve, and prosper. How can we collectively work together to make sure that Black communities had the opportunities in education and economic development? And I want to share something with you. This is from the 1968 statement of their annual report. Jim says, "The Black Economic Union is rallying a proud new breed, but the opportunities for fulfillment of today's promise will wither into the old despair of the increased hostility of Black youth if these are not opened up for fruition. It is only right that talented Black people be given the opportunity to develop their own businesses and enter into the mainstream of American life. Perhaps a more immediate concern, it is in the best interest of all the American people that the Black minority replaces its current mood of cynicism with hope and pride based on solid economic achievement." So I wanted to share that because this was a pivotal moment in time in getting the country to rally around economic development and education, and obviously to support Muhammad's decision as a conscientious objector to the Vietnam War. But what Jim created and John created from the Black Economic Union came forward through organizations like AmeriCAN that really focus on educating and getting into the grassroots level of our youth and the needs. And so I want to share that. I met Jim because of AmeriCAN about 30 years ago. And watching him understand that real change has to deal from the ground up. It's a groundswell. And so in celebrating and dealing with economics and dealing with the summit and understanding that legacy and history and bringing that forward, just to keep our eyes and our pulse on the fact that our cities are burning and kids are suffering. And in some way we have to be able to have the great discussions and the great summits and deal with the policies and deal with the corporations, but also make sure that those resources are getting down to the grassroots level, to the kids that are every day struggling in the streets to be able to survive, to be able to make good decisions. So, I mean, I want to share that if we are to continue the legacy that was intended by the first summit, it is going to take a holistic approach to economic empowerment of Black communities. By first recognizing that removing systemic barriers and building capacities must be explored together with a sense of urgency and generosity. It is nice to commemorate, but what happens after this event tonight is how we uphold the vision. I wanted to share that because I'm so proud. Kevin, the Cavaliers, the Cleveland Browns, the organizations, the Social Justice Social Justice Committee. Everyone that's here today is a part of that, black, white, everything. And so I wanted to commemorate you and say this is just the beginning. Jim would be so proud today. I'm so proud to be here and represent him. And everyone here has a big part to play. So I look forward to continuing in the purpose that they all created. And I'm here for anyone that is of like mind and in alignment with that. So thank you.
Wow. All right, so in closing, a couple of things. One of which is for our three teams to come together, we are serious about the work that we do. No other city, no other sports teams are coming together to take this social justice message forward. A couple people have mentioned my name, and I know he told me not to do this. This doesn't happen unless you have leaders at the top that give you a runway to have a shared vision of what ultimately success can look like, where social justice and sports comes together. And although, Nick, I'm not going to have you say a few words, I do have to recognize you and your leadership. Thank you. Nick Barlage is our CEO and has helped create this. So we are going to conclude the formal remarks. We did get a little relief from our law enforcement partners. And I guess if the press or media, if you all do want to come up more off the street, so in the next 10 minutes, they can close it down. Thank you for coming out. And if you notice the lights that are here, come by at nighttime. This is an amazing scene. We are going to have a QR code that is going to give the history of this moment. We're going to add information from this event, also other events that have been done. The city is going to make this a historic city location for the 1967 Ali Cleveland Summit. Thank you.